the president about the tariffs?
Maybe at some point I'll talk to him. Right now, I'm not.
Tariffs in Canada? Any comment on it?
We're going to see. It was sent yesterday. They called. I think it was fairly well received. It's what we need. So we'll see what happens. We've been taken advantage of for many, many years by countries, both friend and foe. And frankly, the friends have been worse than the foes in many cases. So I would say just keep working. It's all going to work out.
That is President Trump warning about new tariffs that they could be coming on a slew of countries this week. And just this morning, he issued some new threats to the European Union and to Mexico. And all of these tariffs are set to kick in on August 1st unless the countries can make a deal. Mexico says it's trying to do just that. So what does this all mean for the American consumers, for our economy here at home? Lloyd Financial Group President and CEO Luke Lloyd joins me now to talk about it. Sir, thank you for being here. What do you make of this latest information, this latest Truth Social post from the president specifically regarding the EU, where things are going forward, adding kind of to a long list right now? Your thoughts?
Very long list. I find this whole environment actually very interesting. The biggest parallels I can, find with this current environment is actually goes back to Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was known as the champion of the common person. I think Trump is kind of known as the champion right now as of the common person. And what's interesting is if you go back to Andrew Jackson, the same kind of things are happening. Andrew Jackson was trying to fight the Federal Reserve System at the time, the second bank in the United States, like Trump is with Jerome Powell in the current Federal Reserve. Also, Andrew Jackson implemented tons of tariffs, just like Trump is currently doing. And how did that all end up? Well, if you go back to the central banking system, if we're cutting rates or doing away with some regulations around the federal bank, that actually stimulates the economy if you look back to the 1830s. Tariffs were kind of a mixed bag looking back in the 1830s, but it did bring manufacturing back. But the difference was, back then, we were not the top economic country at the time. Great Britain was. Right now, we are the top. And Trump is using that in a big arm wrestling match with a bunch of other nations. And what's very interesting is we have basically won all of these arm wrestling matches so far. So the big sell-off we saw in the stock market in March and April, when everyone was concerned that countries were not going to play nice, the markets are a lot more complacent right now because countries are playing nice and are basically breaking down and following what we want.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see it all play out in real time and really so fast. And we've been talking about this August 1st deadline, so there could be some big announcements here in the coming weeks. One of the other countries that there's been a lot of pressure being put on is Brazil. There's a headline, a Politico headline, and it says the president is angry, but they use the P word here. Trump's Brazil tariff threat is part of a bigger geopolitical dispute, and this comes after the BRICS nations had this big meeting down in Brazil. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America, and other nations, who are sort of trying to create their own global trade apparatus. And it seems like the president got a bit offended, perhaps, about what came out of there and what came out of that meeting. What do you make about what's going on between the U.S. and Brazil right now on trade?
Well, when you're the number one nation in the world, every other country is trying to kind of bring you down so they can kind of get ahead. So whether it's China or other countries dumping the U.S. dollar essentially and trying to use another currency for their currencies or their countries, you have all these kind of geopolitical events happening that's trying to bring us down. But that's why we're trying to leverage ourselves, because we have to leverage kind of our power for many years. And what's interesting when it comes to like Brazil and copper, the tariffs, and it comes to the China rare earth metal deal that we made. What's interesting is all of that kind of commodities are going to come back to the United States. It's allow U.S. manufacturing to get back on track. And also at the same point on top of that, the equal weight S&P 500, all the other stocks besides the big tech names like Microsoft's, Amazon's, Google's, Meta's of the world, all these big tech companies that have done so well, all these other country or stocks have not caught up. So I think this year and heading into the end of this year, the bottom 493 in the S&P 500 or the equal weight S&P, ticker like RSP is the equal weight index, I think that's going to outperform because all those other stocks have not benefited for so long with all the liquidity in the system. These trade negotiations and other countries playing nice are going to allow all these other firms like manufacturing, financials, materials to catch up to the big tech stocks that have done so well.
Real quick on Canada. 3/4 of its goods here to the U.S. There's still a lot of pressure being put on Canada. Still a lot of pressure, particularly regarding fentanyl, despite the fact that Canada's put in quite a bit of effort to show that they're trying to make progress and work with the U.S. on that issue. Your thoughts?
Well, the biggest thing with Canada is really the energy side of things, the automobile side of things, right? Canada exports a lot of energy and automobiles to the United States. So I'm very big right now on natural gas. If we bring manufacturing of energy and allowing the resources we have here to really operate freely and also allow the free trade to open up a little bit more between the border between Canada and the United States, that's going to rock commodity prices, which will also allow natural gas to do very well. And plus you have this whole AI demand with the whole infrastructure where you have all this cloud computing and huge demand for AI. That's going to be fueled fueled by commodity prices and energy. So, things like Cheniere Energy or commodity LNG directly, you can buy as an investment. ExxonMobil, you can also look at nuclear energy.
Yeah. Luke Wood, thank you very much. Canada also among those countries of that August 1st deadline. We appreciate your insights. Thanks for being with us.
Sweet. Sugar Crush. Sweet. Divine. Sugar Crush.